you see a square root in the fraction. In the denominator, there's a square root. So there are two restrictions again. And you probably have realized at this point, what you're given is not an equation to solve. You have to come up with your own inequality or equation, right, which is the condition for being able to compute the function. Okay? So that's where you have to think first. Okay? All right. So I see a square root. That means what's inside must be what?
Positive.
Can't be negative. It has to be positive or 0. Okay. But then it's in the denominator, right? So can it be equal to 0?
No.
No. So how should we change this?
Take away the line under the.
Take away this line, then you have a strict inequality. And then think about this. As long as this is strictly positive, you should be able to compute this, right?
Yep.
Now, what about this 3x minus 5? Is it going to cause us any trouble, 3x minus 5? No, there's no restriction for plugging in anything to the top. 3x minus 5 is just, you can plug in 10 or 100, negative, whatever. It doesn't cause us any trouble. Okay? The only thing that we have to be careful, we have to watch out, is when you have a square root and when you have a denominator, right? Okay, so it's an inequality that we have to solve. Yes?
Wait, so we don't worry about the 3x and -5?
We don't. Why? Is the question about calculating f? Is the question about solving an equation? No. The question is solely what is allowed to be plugged into this function, and the only part where you have to get worried is this part here, because that's going to cause us trouble. So I could put anything crazy on here, as long as it doesn't have a square root, it is fine. We don't care. Okay. All right. So now we just have to solve this inequality, and I hate negative x squared. I don't like this. Anytime I have a negative in front of x squared, I just fumble. So I want to make this positive. So what should I do? Okay, either you can multiply by -1
Change everything.
and change the inequality. You can do that. Or I can just move everything to the right side. The same thing. The end result is the same. So I'm going to move everything to the right side. And you know that every term, when you move it to the other side, it becomes the negative. So the signs change. And I also like to have x squared in the beginning, right? That's less confusing. So I'm going to write down x squared plus 4x minus 5 less than 0. Okay. What are two numbers that multiply to -5 and add to 4?
5 and 1.
5 and 1, right? So if I have positive 5 times -1, it gives you -5. Positive 5 plus -1 gives you 4. So 5 and -1 are the two numbers. That means I can actually factor this as x plus 5, x minus 1. And you're trying to see when it's less than 0. Okay, either x is -5, x is positive 1. These are the numbers that you have to look out for. So you have -5 here, positive 1 here. Now what do you do?
Test one.
Test them.
These are the these are the solution of the equality, right? Now you have to figure out the answer for the inequality, and what you do is you pick a test point here, pick a test point here, pick a test point -10 here, and you just plug them in. All right. So you can plug into either this one or this one, but since I don't like negatives, I'll just plug it in here. So I plug in -10 squared, that's 100. And then plug in -10, that's -40, minus 5, that's 55. Now, is 55 less than 0?
No.
No. So that's bad. Okay. Now let's plug in 0. 0, 0, you get -5. What happens if you plug in 0? Is it good or bad? It's good. -5 is less than 0, right? Yeah. So that's good. Check. Let's plug in 2. 2 squared is positive 4, 2 times 4 is 8, minus 5, 12 minus 5 is 7.
Nope.
No good. Okay, so we're almost there. What's the answer? Should we include the endpoints, negative 5 and 1? Yes or no?
Yes. No.
No.
Why would you say no?
The only thing that works is 0.
See, no, the question is, should I include negative 5 or 1? So should I do this, or should I do this?
The second one.
The second one, why?
Because it can be up until that point.
Right, if you plug in 1 in here, what happens? You get 0. Are you allowed to have 0 in the denominator?
No.
No. Actually, look, we had this strict inequality requirement, right? It can't be 0. See, 1 and negative 5 are the numbers where it makes this thing equal to 0. And because this one is a strict inequality, you can't include the endpoints, and final answer should be not including the endpoints. So the correct answer to this, the answer is the domain is from negative 5 to 1, not including the endpoints. Okay? You need parentheses for both.